Alright, this is take 3. So this month is going to be all about preparing for baby's arrival. And today we're going to be talking specifically about mental preparation for labor and delivery through developing a birth plan. We're going to talk about what a birth plan is and is not, what is generally considered one of the more difficult decisions to make when writing one out, and what are some of the decisions I've come to through this process. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Erica and I make videos documenting my experience expecting my first child. This birth plan thing was kind of new to me and very, very overwhelming. So if this is as relatively new to you as it was to me, then let's go over briefly what a birth plan is not. It is not you planning for a vacation and saying on such and such a day, I am going to go to the hospital because I will be in labor and we're going to do it this way, and this way, and then we'll go home. This is not something that you can plan, and I am very aware of that. I am very aware that birth is unpredictable and there are only so and so many things about it that you can control. So what a birth plan is a list of your preferences over the things that you can control during the labor and delivery process, including what you would like to have done if things aren't going as expected, such as needing an induction or an emergency C-section. Now, I was given a birth plan by my hospital to fill out and put in my hospital bag so that once I get to the hospital, the nurses can pull it out and review it and they're not having to ask me all of these important questions while I'm in the middle of contractions. So in a sense, this piece of paper becomes your voice while you are laboring. Your hospital may give you a form like this, or you may have to take the initiative to write one out on your own. There is a video that I found really helpful if you do have to write one out on your own, and I will leave it linked in the description box below. I think it's safe to say that out of all the different categories that you will fill out on your birth plan, whether that is measures that you want to be taken during a vaginal delivery or C-section delivery, what kind of positions you want to try, or what kind of environment you want to have. Out of all of those decisions, one of the more difficult ones that you're going to have to make is what kind of pain management you would like to have. At least this has been the most difficult thing for me to decide. I do really want an unmedicated, intervention-free as possible vaginal delivery, ideally, because I want to be able to be in whatever position I want for pushing. I want to be able to feel that whole process and be aware of what's happening when I'm pushing, and because I believe that this will be the best choice ultimately for myself and my baby in the recovery process. But this will mean being willing to go through all the pain and discomfort of getting to that point, of getting to the point of the pushing stage without or with minimal medical intervention. I've had to very carefully weigh out the pros and cons of IV meds versus an epidural versus completely unmedicated. What concerns me with the IV meds is knowing how my body already responds to certain over-the-counter medications such as Tylenol, where they essentially just make me loopy or drowsy without actually taking the pain away. So I would be concerned with the IV meds that I would just become exactly that. Drowsy and incoherent, but still feeling all of the pain. With an epidural, my understanding is that I will be confined to a bed and I will be restricted in what positions I have available to use during pushing, which has the potential to lead to a need for further interventions and possibly a more difficult recovery for me in the end. With an unmedicated delivery, I realized that I run the risk of becoming completely worn out and exhausted from the pain, and at that point being unable to push effectively, possibly stalling labor and prolonging the whole delivery process. So the bottom line is, I've never been through this before. Obviously, this is my first pregnancy, and I don't know I don't know what to expect from myself. I have spent very many days wrestling with all of this and fully realizing that things could go completely differently and all of this could become irrelevant. But ultimately, I've decided that if I truly want to try for an unmedicated vaginal delivery, then I need to get into the right headspace. I have so many different tools and resources at my disposal, and I simply need to be aware of how I want to utilize those and to let my support team know how I want to utilize those. So what I ended up coming up with was a separate game plan, so to speak. On it, I have simply listed some of my biggest concerns or my top 3 fears. Number 1 being that I will just get worn out and so tired from the pain that I won't be able to do well through the delivery process. Underneath that, I've listed why I want an unmedicated delivery. And ultimately that is to get to the pushing stage. There's something about it that I almost find fascinating, and maybe by that point I'll just be in so much pain that I simply won't care. But there is something in me that really, really wants to be able to feel my baby coming down and out. And underneath that, what I've listed is coping strategies that I want to try for each phase of delivery. Now, there is a video that I followed, again, in researching all of this, that gave me a lot of ideas for this portion of my game plan. And so I'll leave that link down below as well. But basically, what I've done is I've just listed off all the different phases of labor and the different coping strategies that you can use during each phase. I also know that both at home and in the hospital, I will have access to a shower and a tub, and so I am planning on using those. And on the hospital form, I've also included that basically I want to try to stay as upright and mobile as possible. And then lastly, another thing that I included on my game plan was at what point my doctor wants me to call the hospital. We do have to remember to call ahead of time before we get there so that they know to expect us and don't accidentally charge us with an unnecessary emergency room fee. So I don't want anybody to come away from this thinking that I have this long list of things that I want to be able to control and this is how I plan on labor progressing. I don't have any control over how labor will progress, but I can at least come up with ideas and strategies for how I want to cope depending how labor is progressing. So that is what this is. This is me being as mentally prepared as I possibly can for this huge event. I want to be able to glance even in one spot, even while I'm at home. If things are starting to feel long, I can look at this and I can say, oh, back there when I did all of this research, these were possible positions that I could try. Well, now I can try them. All this said, if I find that I am crossing a line from being able to cope with contractions into this mindset of I am suffering through these contractions, or perhaps it is just clear that my body is getting completely worn out, I have made clear to my husband, and I have made clear on my hospital birth plan that if that is the case, I am open to an epidural. I am open to doing whatever is necessary and having my needs addressed in order to safely deliver this baby. So I'm hoping with all of that included that I will be able to have a supported and positive birth experience. There are also steps that I'm going to be taking to prepare my body for this whole process as well. I will be talking about that in a future update video, so if you're interested in when that will come out, be sure to hit the subscribe button so that you are notified when I come out with that update. Thank you for joining me as I continue to prepare for the arrival of this little peanut, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.